everyone, my name is Adina. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about Avalanche. I myself was interested in bridging over to Avalanche from Ethereum for my own project, and so I was curious what that entails and what benefits I would gain in doing so. In this video I'm going to share with you what I found out, and maybe you should look into Avalanche yourself. But before we do that, please give me a like, also subscribe to my channel if you want to support me, and follow me on social media. All the links are in the description below. Let's get started. So Avalanche is another blockchain like Ethereum. It actually is based on Ethereum, but was created when Ethereum was still proof of work. So in the meantime, Ethereum switched to proof of stake, and a lot of benefits of Avalanche were actually implemented in Ethereum as well. But the one thing that Avalanche advertises still is its transaction throughput or high transaction throughput, while it still maintains scalability of the network. Lots of blockchains have a decrease in transaction throughput when they increase network size, because they include all the nodes present in the network to confirm a transaction. So the more nodes you add, the longer it takes to confirm a transaction. But Avalanche uses a technique that's called subsampling, which only uses a subset of nodes to confirm transactions, which means you can add as many nodes as you want, but still maintain the same transaction throughput, which they claim is around 10,000 transactions per second. I think these days, the last that they tested was about 4,500 transactions per second. And when we compared it with other chains, that's still pretty good. However, not as good as it probably was when they started or launched the blockchain. So here you have a table with the comparisons. So Solana is still claiming to be the fastest with about 120,000 transactions per second. We have Aptos, which is fairly new. They claim to reach around 160,000 transactions per second. But as of now, they haven't really shown that they can do more than 10 transactions per second. But you always have to keep in mind, you also need that many transactions to even test it. So if you don't have enough activity, you might never reach the maximum that you could do. The same is for Avalanche. So what they have, they say like tested is 4,500, possibly 10. But as of now, they show, that's a table from about a year ago, like 4 transactions per second. These days, it's a little bit higher, around 160 something. So Avalanche is still very high up. What they haven't included in here in the table is Tezos, which they say that they want to reach 1 million transactions per second this year. So they're working hard to get that number up. But yeah, keep in mind that when you compare that to Ethereum or Bitcoin, like Ethereum has a maximum transactions per second 45, which is very low, and Bitcoin is 7. So when you have high activity, which we really hope that cryptocurrencies will be adopted more, you might have quite a problem with Bitcoin and Ethereum if they can't increase that with another layer or something like that. They might have problems with that. And also the recent launch of ordinals on Bitcoin kind of showed how congested the network can become. So it is exciting to see other solutions here, and we will see over time which ones will persist. One other thing that you can look at on a blockchain in terms of its efficiency is time to finality. And finality means the point where you actually consider a transaction as confirmed. Often in blockchains, you just look at the confirmations. So you can see Ethereum, you consider 6 confirmations as a confirmed transactions. Same for Bitcoin. That takes for Bitcoin an hour. For Ethereum, 78 seconds, which is still fairly low. But Avalanche really has extremely high. It's only 0.15 seconds, which is the record here, or around 1-2 seconds. And I tried it myself. It's really fast, and it's not going to be reverted. So once Avalanche has confirmed that transaction, which it can do within the consensus algorithm mechanism, then that is final. So it might not happen that after 30 minutes your transaction might be rejected because it's rejected by the network after a while it's still trying to confirm it. So after 2 seconds, you know your transaction went through or not, and that's final. So that's pretty cool. So there are certainly advantages, but I do think that there are many other chains now that have similar benefits, and we will see if Avalanche will persist. But they're working hard. They have a lot of applicability in many different ways. It's not just a blockchain for cryptocurrencies as we know it as a crypto user. And I'm going to talk about that at the very end a little bit. But yeah, when you look at the current stats, so you have 7 million transactions over the last 7 days, which is not huge, I would say, for a blockchain. But yeah, and the maximum transactions per second in the last 7 days was 148. So that's much higher than I just showed in that table, but it's also an old table. And what's nice to see is the contracts deployed. It has been like increasing slowly, right, over the last 3 months here. If you look at the max, it certainly is much higher. Yeah, so you see contracts created are more and more. So that means that the network is really used for that. And that's really key to a blockchain to persist over time, that there are developers that want to deploy contracts and applications are developed. Transaction count has gone down, let's see, over max time, but yeah, overall an upward trend. So it does seem that Avalanche still, even though compared to some other blockchains, it's not like at the very top, but it has really had adoption over time. You can also see that here on DeFi Llama compared to other chains here. So obviously Ethereum is still dominant here, but when you compare it, Avalanche, Optimism, Polygon, Arbitrum, you see that total value locked on Avalanche is really comparable to these other chains, I would say. And we will see which one of these will win the race. It will be very interesting to see. Also, one key thing that always is in question is like, how is the stake of the native coin distributed on a blockchain, because that is really how the power of validators and contributors is measured, right? And so here is a breakdown on when Avalanche was launched, how it was distributed. So 50% was allocated for staking rewards, which incentivizes participation in the network. And then obviously you have the team and all these others. But overall, given that 50% of the supply is actually allocated to staking, means that staking rewards means that likely no one here can gain 50% or 51% of the stake and control the network, which is very unlikely. But for most proof of stake networks, that's really hard to obtain in comparison to proof of work, where it's easier to rent hash power to overwhelm the network. So yeah, speaking of the supply, when you go to CoinMarketCap, you get a better idea. Here you see circulating supply is 344 million AVAX. The maximum supply, which is the maximum that will ever be minted, is 720 million. But right now we have a total supply of 431-ish million. So tokens are always minted with additional nodes, so the supply is sufficient, but also there will be a hard cap at 720 million AVAX. The price is very low right now. It's around $11. Let's go back to the chart here. Let's see if I can get that here. So also AVAX has quite a crash here, like many others. but over time you see it's a little bit up compared to the beginning, but it was once at almost 10 times, like 10x of what it is now. So if you consider to buy AVAX, is certainly not a bad time. How it is maintained and everything, it doesn't look like a bad idea, but as always, this is not financial advice. It's just my honest opinion. So that's pretty much about Avalanche. So as I mentioned, I tried it out myself. What I did was I went to Kraken. I bought some AVAX. You can connect your wallet, MetaMask wallet, with Avalanche as well. And then withdrawing that AVAX from Kraken, it was like 50 cents to withdrawal fee, but then the transaction fee is really just a penny. So it's very cheap to use. So that is certainly a benefit of using this network. And it was very fast, much faster than Ethereum. Really, after a few seconds, I saw it in my MetaMask wallet. So that's a pretty good sign, and it's really, really fast. So Avalanche, as I mentioned, is not just a blockchain that is for cryptocurrency payment transactions, essentially. It's an entire platform. And what they just recently launched is Ava Cloud, which is pretty awesome. Like, you can go and create your own blockchain supposedly without any coding. Right now, you still have to contact the team to basically do that, but I assume in the future that might be more automated, or more like you can just go and do it manually yourself. You don't need some advisors or people doing it for you. But how the network, or the blockchain, is configured is that you can create blockchains for yourself in so-called subnets. And that means that if you have some business application, or you just want to launch your own blockchain for whatever purpose, you can use the Avalanche network to do that. And yeah, now businesses that want to use their own private blockchain, they can do that on Ava Cloud, which means, yeah, this is much a bigger picture than just having a payment system and like Ethereum. So it's much bigger. The idea is much bigger than that. What I found difficult as a project owner, I was looking into launching a token, like an ICO, an Avalanche. It's a little bit harder. There are not that many launch pads, and all of them require very rigorous KYC. And I do appreciate like people doing that, because there are lots of scams out there, but also it's not that easy. You can't just go and launch it. But for example, if you have a token launched on Ethereum and you want to bridge it over and generate some liquidity on this other chain, it's not that simple. You have to go to a rigorous KYC and verification process to do that. But there are some really nice DEXs on there. You have Trader Joe's, XYZ DEX. You can use 1inch on Avalanche as well. And Woofy is a big one that has actually quite some transaction volume on there. So yeah, that's it about Avalanche. It does make a good impression to me, but when I compare it to other projects, I think there are better ones out there, in my opinion. I'm much a bigger promoter of Tezos than I am of Avalanche. I think Avalanche was a really good idea when they launched, but they were somehow kind of surpassed by some other really good ideas that have come up in the meantime. And I'm curious how they will be able to compete against those. I think a big part will be that they are not just a blockchain for payments. There are a real infrastructure for just general blockchain development, in whatever shape or form. So that will probably be the reason why Avalanche will stick around. But when it comes to like payment systems, I do believe there are better projects out there. So I will be looking forward to see what else they're going to create on Avalanche. And yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of it, please give me a like and also subscribe to my channel. Also follow me on social media. All the links are in the description below, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.